All right, says we're live. Okay. I realize this is not my usual time for Tuesday night, but it's New Year's Eve. I said uh, before the holiday started that I would surely do the Tuesday night show and the Wednesday night show, or the Wednesday night consulting. And but then we've got family things to do tonight, so it wouldn't be good for me to break off at 8 o'clock. And I know other people have stuff going on, so most of the people that catch this broadcast catch it on the replay, right? So I figured it'll work out okay. And this morning when Jill asked me if I wanted to do this, I said, yeah, I've got some things to say. But now that it's, well, I don't know what time it is, 6:30, and I put in a full day and I'm kind of winding down. I just came in the house and it's warm. It kind of evades me everything that I was going to say. But the gist of it is what worked this year and what am I going to bear down on in the year that's coming? You know, what things worked and what things didn't work, I guess. I don't know if I have a list of things that didn't work exactly, but some things worked real well. And I'm going to try and bear down on those things in this coming year. I've got to tell you that more now than ever, I feel as though this line of work is not only legitimate and profitable, but it's important now. I had a meeting with a guy today. Actually, a fella called me up 10 days ago and wanted to buy some pigs. And we finally settled on an afternoon, and they showed up here this morning. They were on time, between 11:30 and 12, like right on time. And we were ready for them. We had the animals separated out. And it was an older guy, older than me. And he had his son with him and his son's girlfriend or fiance. And the son was probably, I'd say 45-ish, and the girlfriend maybe a little younger. And they were real interested in what was going on here. And come to find out, they'd done a little bit of research, and so they knew where we're coming from. And when we spoke, I could see that they were drinking in everything that I said. And they'd come to buy pigs. And I try to find out, well, why do you want to get into pigs and what are your plans with them and all that stuff? So I can guide them a little bit on the things that have worked and the things that don't work. And I don't want them to have expectations that wouldn't happen, you know. So we're talking and we're into the conversation for quite a while. We'd gotten the pigs looked at and loaded in their truck. And I said, so what do you guys do? You know? And the guy said, well, actually, I'm a professor at a university over in Canada, and I'm a clinical psychologist. And I said, really? And I said, how about you? What do you do? And she said, well, I'm a veterinarian. And I thought, you know, I got to tell them. I got to say it. I said, you know, this is happening more and more and more, that people with good straight jobs that they've trained for and are high paying are saying, enough of that. I want a simpler life, and I want to create my own food and live, I guess, a more intentional existence. And so we conversed about that for a while. And as I'm telling them the opportunities in homesteading now, I'm starting to think that this needs to be passed on. Needs to be passed on to you guys, because this is not just a hobby or a cute little Pinterest way of life. This is actually a career field. And when you take all the pieces of the puzzle and you put them together, it's actually quite profitable. Actually quite profitable. And we went through some of the numbers that I've experienced, and they were really surprised. And I said, "Yeah, but it's got to be done correctly. You can't just throw it against the wall and hope it sticks. You got to do it right." And I try to be careful with that dogmatism that there's a correct way to do it, and then there's the wrong way to do it. There's definitely the wrong way to do it. If you do it the wrong way, it's not going to work. But I've discovered a way, a path, and for me, it's worked out. Now, and I'm not saying by any means that that's the only way to get there. There's probably many different ways that I haven't discovered, but I just discovered the path that I discovered one step at a time. Try to make a good decision, and it led to another good decision and another good decision, things like that. And so how do I put this into words? This really is not something that I don't think that we could draw up a manual, and if you follow this manual, it will work. The specific processes that are involved with homesteading, yeah, there's a right way to build a fence, and there's definitely a wrong way to build a fence. But you really need to master the small components, and then they come together. If you build a fence and it lasts you for 15 years, that's 15 years you don't have to worry about that, and you can be concerned with other things. Saving time, right? Wealthy people save time. Poor people save money, right? It does kind of counterintuitive, but it's true. If you're saving money, that's potential that you could be putting into your process to make the process better, cleaner, safer, more efficient. Sharpening the stick, fortifying the position, always improving on what you're doing. If you can't find something that you're doing that you can improve on in one of your processes, then you're probably not looking at it hard enough. Maybe you should have somebody else look at it and say, what can I do better on this? So that would be one of the things that I would say is seek out help from those people who know, who are getting it done and operating profitably. If you operate a homestead as just a hobby and you're losing money and you're happy with that, it's not going to go anywhere. It has to be, I believe, it has to be profitable. And if you're doing a process that isn't profitable, either you're not doing it right or you're producing something that nobody wants. All of the things that we produce on this farm are consumables. Our customers consume our milk. Once they've bought a gallon of milk and they've consumed it, they need another one. And it's got to be high quality or they're not going to get it. They would get it from the store and they could pay, half of the price for it. That's something to consider now too. The price of food at the stores is really high, and I don't remember it ever coming down significantly. You see sales and stuff, but is it going to come down significantly? I don't know. I don't think so. So now the market is way more competitive. Our customer base is solid, rock solid. I've got a waiting list for our milk. That's a good place to be. That's the first time we've been there in a long time. Or ever, since we started milking cows, and selling the milk to other customers or doing herd shares, however you want to put that. So that's something that I think needs to be bared down on in the new year. Every process that we have, how could we make it better? That's something that I think will always be a part of my thought process moving forward. How could I make this better? How could I make it better? Just in this past year, I've improved several processes and made them better, and everybody has has felt the same way. Wow, it's a whole lot easier doing it this way. It's a lot nicer having the overhang over our area where we process chickens, so we're not operating in the sun or the rain. It's just better. Uh, there's shade there when people drop off chickens to be processed, so they're not sitting in the blazing sun, and we don't wind up with birds that are heat stressed or dead or whatever. So that's a lot better. We used to struggle with that. We used to have to put up curtains in front of them to keep them from, and you had to construct them. You had to figure something out at the time or park something in front of them. Yeah, that's not good. Our processing area, we have a high rail there now that was built last fall, right before hog harvest, the year before this year. And that makes it so much easier to process beef. So much easier. The new butcher shop is way better than the old one. We can wheel stuff in and out of there. We have big doors. We have tables that are the right height to work on. We have cranes in there so we can move stuff around. All stuff we didn't have when we first started. And it makes it easier, and it's just far more enjoyable environment to work in, and more efficient, more profitable. The store, the on-farm store. Before, it'd be like people show up and they want to buy something. You got to dig through freezers, and you have to spend time with folks. Now the store, they can go in, they can open the freezers, they can look and see what they want, take it, pay for it, and go. It's quick for them because everybody's time is important. Nobody wants to take a bunch of time to, have to talk with the farmer and pull him off of what he's doing, or pull my wife out of the house doing what she's doing. So that's far better. And I just see where there's really a future, all right, in this, really a future. I've scribbled down some numbers and looked at them and thought, whoa, that is good. I could live with that. Then the whole idea of passive income on your farm. Why are we not stressing that? Passive income is income that comes from, say, something like a campground. We have a campground now on the farm, so people can come and stay. Doesn't take any of my time. They set up their own tent. They leave when they want to. And we charge, I don't know, $25 a night. And it's passive income. It's $25 that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And then if you have 10 people camping, whoa, now that's some change. And those dollars can be poured back into the operation to make it better and expand it. So that's something that we will always work on. We're actually working right now on an Airbnb. We have a building that my daughter's living in, and she's going to be getting married. So we're going to Airbnb that out. And it's going to be really nice, right on the farm, right adjacent to all of the hunting property that's here and the state land that people can hunt on. So very nice thing. And I think it will work out very well for us. And then let's talk about mindset. Well, I guess I am kind of recalling the things that I wanted to talk about. The mindset. It seems as though when you have a job and you have to be there at a certain time, and your main thing is getting there on time and then doing what you're asked to do, it's usually not that difficult. And then you leave when it's over. When you get there, your mind kind of goes on hold. You're thinking about what this employer wants you to do. That is completely different from running your own operation, that it's all up to you and you're able to access your brain and all the power that's in your brain to solve problems and come up with a better way of doing things. It's really an amazing thing when you ask yourself a question. Let's say before you're drifting off to sleep, you say, how in the hell am I going to get this done? And then you may wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh, I see how to do it. Or the next day, or maybe the day after that. Or you'll have a conversation with a family member or a coworker coworker. And all of a sudden, oh, I know how we can do that. This is not that hard. We can do this, right? So that whole mindset of, guardrails on either side, that this is as far as we can go, kind of goes away, because the sky is the limit in your homesteading operation. There really is nothing that you can't do. You have a lot more capability than you know. I've seen that in many, many people that we've helped learn how to do things, help train and things like that. Your training is really your responsibility. If you work for somebody else and they require that you have a certain amount of schooling, all that is showing that you've come this far. And so they're taking a bet that, well, if he could get that done at this school or university or college or whatever, is a good bet that he can do what I'm going to ask him to do. Right. You may not, but it's a way that they kind of winnow out the people who cannot do the tasks at hand. But most of the time, the things that you learn in school, you don't really use on the job. It's just a process, a hoop jumping process that you got to go through, and it gets you in the door. Where in this career field, the training that you need is your responsibility. If you say, I could save a lot of time if we just processed our own chickens, for instance. Yeah, but I don't know how. Don't cop that attitude. Say, I don't know how yet, but I know I can learn and I'm willing to do it. This fellow that I was talking to today, he's really not really wanting to stay where he's at the positions that he's holding. And he's saying, yeah, I'd do anything to, be able to work on the farm and make a good living. I said, anything? And that caused him to back up a little bit. And I said, what if I showed you a way that you could milk 10 cows and make 100,000 a year? Would that interest you? He's like, yeah. I mean, my dad used to milk cows on the farm, but he didn't do well with it. Oh, well, maybe he wasn't doing it right. Maybe he was in a contract with somebody that was not a fair contract. Maybe, you think? And then along those lines, I want to keep this brief because I got people waiting on me, but let's talk about educating yourself on contracts. Let's just talk about contracts for a minute. I think it's very profound when you think about it, because just in the short few years that we've been doing this show, we've had all kinds of, I don't know, I guess it's called oppression, small farms oppression, it's called, but it really isn't. It really isn't. You never have anybody banging on your door and saying, I want to see what you're doing and you can't do this. Because they're really, in the United States, a representative republic that we live in, governed by a constitution, you are a free person. So long as you're not doing illegal things, you're covered under the 4th and 5th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. You're covered. Like this, what I'm doing right now, I'm covered under the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Maybe the people at YouTube don't like my message and they might squash it, but that's private. They're operating in the private. This isn't exactly public airways. So don't get into contracts with anybody. Don't, unless it's a customer, and you can set the contract and you can say, I want this much for a gallon of milk. And they say yes or no. And then you have a contract. Maybe it's a written contract. Maybe it's just a verbal contract. But it's an agreement between two people. You don't live in a country where the government can tell you what to do and what not to do. That's not where you live. Sometimes you think that way. And I think they lead you to believe that's the case. But that is not the country that we live in. There are no entities that have the right to come on your property and tell you you can't do that unless what you're doing is illegal, against the law, right? There needs to be a law in place. And then it's not an issue where, say, a Department of Agriculture is going to come and bust you. If you're breaking a law, that is an issue for law enforcement, right? It wouldn't be somebody in a hairnet and a white coat and a clipboard. They don't have the authority to bust you. They don't put you behind bars or anything like that, spank you, render fines. They don't have that authority. You may think they do, but they don't. But what they like to do is they like to get you in a contract. And that's really, they've got it set up so that you walk right into it. Like you want to set up a chicken processing place on your homestead. And so you call them and you say, what do I need to do this? And they say, oh, we'll be out with a contract for you to sign. But you never ask yourself, well, do I need this contract? And I'm here to tell you, you don't need that contract. But if you do enter into that contract, then you're bound by that contract. So never enter into any contracts with any of these entities like the department, any of the departments. Don't. And I know someone's always going to say, well, what about your driver's license? And I've covered that extensively. It's not a battle I want to fight right now. And there's more hassle involved there than getting a driver's license for me. Maybe someday I will. I'll surrender my license and I will just drive. And then I will take what comes after that. But I don't believe that I need a license to drive. I don't. I pay for the roads, and so on and so on. And we would see, I guess, once I do that, what happens. I don't have a driver's license. What are they going to do? Can't make you get one. And if I don't have it and drive without a license, is it against the law? No, it's against the contract that I got into when I got the license. You will have a license. That's the first item. Now, I haven't fought that one, and I don't plan to do that for a while. I got enough going. But as far as any of the other things that we do, as far as producing food and then selling it to our neighbors and people who are not our neighbors, friends, maybe they're our enemies, it's a contract between us and them. And my government doesn't have the right to get in between that. They don't have that right. They try to, but you just say, no, thank you. And then see what comes. And every time that I've gone down this road with other folks, it always winds up being a nothing burger. And they say, no, thank you. And those people just go away. The little trolls, they just go away. So don't get in contracts. We've got this new thing on the horizon. We've got bird flu on the horizon. And some people think that, oh, they're going to be showing up and wanting to inspect your flock of chickens. First of all, they don't have the personnel to do that. Second of all, they don't have authority to come on private property without your invitation or a warrant. How are you going to get a warrant for raising chickens? How are they going to get a warrant? They're not going to. They can't. So just disregard. I think this new year that's coming and the change in leadership that we have in Washington, although I don't think that's the answer to all of the woes that this country faces, it's helpful. I believe it's helpful. I believe we are free to do this process that we do. And I put my money where my mouth is. I don't have any licenses. I did for a long time because when I got out of the service, I thought, I'll call the Department of Ag and ask them what I should do. And they toddled right out here with that state car and a state employee getting me to sign on the dotted line. And I was big into, okay, I'll keep up my end of the agreement, where I didn't have to make an agreement with them at all. I could have operated just the way I'm operating now. It would have cut me out of certain markets. But as I've told you, you don't want to be in those markets anyway, because they're not good paying markets. We want to be direct. We want to sell directly to the people who are going to use the product. That's what we need to do. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go back to servicing restaurants or retail stores. I'm not going to do that, because then you have to sell cheaper so they can make their margin, and they're going to resell it at the same thing that I could be selling it directly to my customers. See? So that's that. These are all things that I think are worth talking about and thinking about. Um, Another one is, let's question everything. All the organizations, all of the beachheads, let's say, of the formal groups, and there's lots of them. There's local government, there's state government, there's federal government, there's churches, there's um, healthcare entities, millions of them, and they all have a message. They all have something that they want to tell you, and then you get to make decisions from what they're telling you. You need to start questioning those things, and you need to start thinking it through for yourself. And in the past, I've called it spells and incantations, right? Because if they had the authority to just make you do it, they would. But if they don't have that authority, why should you? You need to operate totally independent from those entities and deal directly with the situation at hand, instead of going through, say, a Department of Agriculture. Well, what's the correct way to do this? And then following their rules. They have their rules and their correct way to do things, but that's not necessarily the correct way to do things. You can operate independently, and I think those questions have to be asked. Some of the spells and incantations that you'll hear is, well, there ain't no money in farming. That's not true. That is not true. And we pretty routinely share what we're doing with people who want to know, when they have to make decisions. Do I want to invest my time and resources in an operation like this? Am I going to get a return on that investment? Well, I did. And this is what I do full time. So start questioning those things. And I mentioned church there too, because I kind of feel like they put you in between guardrails and say anything outside of that, is somehow not authorized. And I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. It just doesn't jive with my gut. So I am, in the new year, I'm going to be questioning everything, even the things that seem to be favorable to people like us. I'm going to question that too. Like, what's in it for you there? What's in this for you? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to support what I'm doing? What is that? So the decision-making process is something that lands on your shoulders, and you have to make those decisions. And if you can slow yourself down, maybe you're working like I'm working, but turn off everything and just listen to the quiet and ask the questions of yourself. And generally I get the answers, and I've gotten pretty good at making good decisions and looking back on the bad decisions and saying, well, I'm not going to do that again, but I'm not going to fret over it. I'm moving forward, moving ahead. I think there's a component, and this is what I'm going to do in the new year, is there's a component of giving back. Lots of times I've questioned the Tuesday night show. What's the point? I don't get anything out of it. Why do I do it? But something inside of me is saying, no, this is the thing to do. You need to stand in the gap for people who are trying to learn how to do homesteading and haven't had the particular opportunities that I've had. And those are not necessarily like an opportunity where somebody hands you something or teaches you something. My life was far different before this. There's been bumps and bruises and everything else, but I've learned from them. And giving back is important. I feel that it's very. I don't know as I could prove it in a court of law, but I think it's very important, and I think that we all need to do that because we should be training each other. No one else is going to do it. And I'm not saying you should grab somebody and say, I'm going to train you. But when somebody wants to know something from you, you should freely give the information out. Freely give it. I am kind of making a New Year's resolution. I've had scrapes with Department of Agriculture and other such entities, which I have no respect for them, in their name, Department of Agriculture. And I don't see where they're actually promoting agriculture. I don't see that. I think they're detrimental in most ways. That's what I've seen. Maybe other people have different opinions, but I don't think that I'm going to go out of my way to point that out anymore. Actually, they're kind of irrelevant to what we do. I mean, there's no relevance. They have no authority on my property or in my processes. So why do I even care? Why do I even give them the time? I think it actually gives them power when I do that. So they're kind of irrelevant. And I don't think that we want to centralize small farms and homesteadings in any way, shape, or form. We need to be independent and be able to make our own decisions, profit at the pace that we feel comfortable with, or fail at the pace that we feel comfortable with. But I don't see let's make changes in Washington to do this and that and the other thing. No, I don't. It's irrelevant. They're irrelevant to us. Okay, so we got this bird flu thing on the horizon. If you look at that and you get fearful, well, then they have won. They have won. What you should do is look at that and say, well, how is this going to drive the market? Eggs at the store are twice as much as they were a month ago. So what do you think would be profitable coming up here? Egg laying, hens, get a bunch of hens and get that going. If you can get $6 a dozen for them easily, and you should, then it could be profitable for you. At least you'll cover your expenses, have your own eggs, and have a little scratch on the side. That's great. That money could go into something else. Could go into some fences or some other things that you need to run your homestead. So that would be smart. I've thought that I would do that myself. I'd get 500 pullets and make them available this spring when people are going to be freaking out because they can't get eggs. And then they say, well, I'm going to get some chickens. And if I have some pullets that are ready to lay, well, I can get $10 a piece. I get $12, $14 a piece for those. Now that's pretty good profit on those from just getting them from chicks and brooding them out. So that would be a good thing, but don't look at what's coming with this bird flu thing. So many people have tagged me on these stories, this one, and it doesn't matter to me. We keep a couple hundred egg layers, and maybe we'll have 400 then, just because there would be a little bit more profit there. But actually with my store, now we can take eggs from other people, put them in the store who can't market them or don't have time to market them. We can sell them for them, and we can get a bite on it too. It's good, and it's getting into the hands of our customer base that is looking for high quality food. High quality food makes all the difference in the world in your life, and people are starting to realize that. There is a lot of information coming out about seed oils and animal fats and the things you should do and the things you shouldn't do if you want to have a healthy body. It's up to you, though. If you want to get cheap food, do it. If you want to eat McDonald's and all that stuff, hey, you can do that. I don't. And I'm not any worse the wear for it. I'm probably in better shape now than when I retired from the military. Actually, I feel as though I'm in much better shape, far more clarity of thought, organization skills, just fun. Just I can't wait till the next day. Look forward to the next day to get my work done. Always thinking, coming up with new ideas. It's just a lot of fun. I really love this career field. That's part of the reason why I want to keep doing the Tuesday night show, is to share it and make ourselves available to help train people when the time is right. And that's going to go through some changes too, because training takes a lot of time, and we've got to be smarter about it because our time is valuable. It is very valuable to us. And I want to be a little bit more judicious about who I train in person, and are they going to do something with it. I do not want to cast my pearls before swine, and I've done some of that, and it's a learning process. All right. Make no mistake, we are a spiritual being in a human body, and this body is designed for hard work, and we need to be working hard. We need to embrace the hard times and get through the hard times. And we come out the other side much stronger and much more equipped to survive into the future. But we have a lot of people in our society that would not survive if it weren't for the handouts that they're given of cheap food and things like that. Price of food in this country is very inexpensive, but it's not good quality. And we're seeing the effects of that. And although the departments are saying, oh, this is good, you should eat a lot of this, not much of this. Don't eat meat. You shouldn't be eating meat. Oh no, that's not for you. Meat is bad. Global warming, all that stuff. Question all of that stuff. Getting caught up in things you can't control. I've done a share of this. A lot of times we wander into the political arena because I got my team and then the other team I don't like. So when the other team is squirming, I feel pretty good. I need to get over that. I mean, you have so much in front of you that you need to do, and spending mental energy on thinking about, well, is Hillary Clinton in jail yet? I mean, that is just such a waste of my time. I don't even know if they're real people. I just don't even know. It's like watching professional sports. It's a distraction, but what is it? It's distracting you from what you can be accomplishing on your homestead. There's a lot to accomplish. I would say don't allow yourself to be distracted. Last year I was distracted a lot and I allowed it, but now I am very careful of that. When somebody wants to start a conversation with me and tell me about their brother-in-law and this and that, people I don't know, people who doesn't matter to me, I will cut it off. Say, I got stuff I got to get done, real live stuff. I have animals that need to be bedded, fed, slaughtered. I don't have time for this conversation. I'll give them a little bit of time, show how the farm works, but that's it. And I have to cut it off. We are going to do Tribe Day this year. That is going to happen because I feel that is a giving back, and that's important to do. People who are trying to pursue this career field, they need to see it. They need to be involved in it. And so we are going to do it. There was a few times when I said, why am I doing this? I do all the prep and then I have to pick all the papers up after everybody leaves. It's not like we're walking away with a pocket full of money. We're not. And so, but it is a form of giving back and it does need to be done. So we are going to do it. There's a few changes. We do make money on the campground and we'll have some Airbnb opportunities in the coming years. So yeah, we will do okay with it. There is such a thing as fair trade. When you invest your time and expertise in something, you need to be compensated, but that's up to you. You can't expect anybody to say, "Oh, well, here's $1,000. I just, here's to help with your family." That's not the way it works. People are always kind of looking for to pay out the least and to get the most. I get that, but you have to set limits on that. And if I'm going to put this out, I need to be compensated because it's taken me away from my work that pays me, right? So I would encourage people to think about that. Think about your time. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. Know what you're getting out of the process. What are you putting in and what are you finally getting out of it? Is it worth your time? Because if it isn't worth your time, you might as well just go play golf. You're not going to be Tiger Woods. No one's going to pay you to play golf. You got to pay them to play golf, right? And I pick on golf a lot just because. And I got friends that play golf and they're really into it. Good. That's fine. I mean, I don't have time for it, honestly. Whacking a little ball around, hoping it falls in a hole. I just don't have time. I got important things that are more important to me. My friends that love to play golf, it's very important to them. All right, that's cool. But they're not in this job that I'm in. I picked this job because I see things. I see things on the horizon and I want to go there, And the further I go, the further out in front of me my headlights are, and the more things I can see, the more opportunity I can see, the more good in this I can see. The good, the true, and the beautiful. I see it in farming. I've said this before. I believe that this is God's work. I mean, he created all of this, and I'm stewarding it, doing it the best I can before him. I get rewarded. I get the sunsets. I get those little moments where, wow, that worked. Cool. Look at this. I get the moments where, we butcher a beef, let's say, and then you have that T-bone steak and it's like, oh, I have arrived. And plus it fuels my body for the next day, effectively fuels my body. My body doesn't have to expel a bunch of garbage that I've consumed that the departments have said, it's okay for you to eat this. Don't believe them. They're letting you eat soy seed oils, cotton seed oil. It's not compatible with the human body at all. Yeah, you can eat it and it won't kill you on the spot. Might even taste good, but it's tough. It's tough on you. You want to stay with animal fats. We are carnivores, right? We can handle a little bit of extra carbohydrates, a little bit of plants here and there, but I am a carnivore. All right. When we go into the future, I hope to meet every one of you. I have enjoyed serving you all and spending time with you and sharing thoughts. And it's been a great year for me. It's been the best year that I've had. It's the best year of my life. And I'm planning on the next year to be even better. I have plans. I have lots of plans. And, they have to be balanced. The farm can't be it. This is where my family lives. This is where we recreate. This is where we learn and grow and love each other, eat together, and all the things we do. So it has to be balanced. But I'm excited about the year that's coming. And I can't tell you that I'm totally excited because Donald Trump is now going to be our president. Yeah, that's good in that arena. That's great. But I am a free person. And the processes that I'm partaking in, no man can step in and tell me you can't do that. They just can't. If they pass a law, then I've agreed to that because I elect them and they're the lawmakers and they make laws. I may not agree with the laws that they make, but I am bound by that. So I guess that's it. I don't know if those thoughts line up the way they came to me in the morning. My time is in the morning after I do my cold plunge, have my broth, a cup of coffee, and I'm out the door, and it's just like, wow, look at all the things that we have to do. And then, I get interrupted with this, that, and the other thing. But I see so much potential in this career field. I can see a day where all these 80-acre farms are loaded with families like mine that are striving for the next process, the next thing that they can do to make a living and supply people with food. Some people are going to have to live in cities. I feel sorry for them, but I guess we need them there too. Not me. I'm not going to do it. I did the city life for a while, and fun, but I don't want to make a life of it. This is where I belong, and I'm in something that I'm just really, really and truly excited about. And yeah. Okay. Hope to see you all in the new year. Don't be strangers. Come and join us for any of our classes that are coming up. Seed Savers Day is right around the corner. Let's see. April. It's in May. Last year we had a bunch of people here. Great weather, fun. It really worked out good. I got to spend some time with Jordan Buck, and he gave me some Jerusalem artichokes, and I'm eating on those things. They call them fartichokes. Great. You got to really appreciate farting. Who doesn't love to fart? Okay, I'm going to go spend some time with my family. We're going to watch a program on TV and eat some good food and just enjoy this. The new year, we'll probably make it till about 11 o'clock and then pack it in. But for all you folks that are going to be in Times Square, have a nut with that. All right. I always end by saying anyone can farm, and that's been kind of our mantra. And what we mean by that is no matter where you're at, what stage in life you're at, you can farm, whether it's in some buckets on your front porch or a 5-acre plot or even a 1/4-acre plot. There's loads of things that you can do, but it's your responsibility to figure out what they are, get excited about it, and make them happen. Just get out there and get it done. All right. Anyone can farm. Good night.